There we go. Joining us now, there, this is the right one, is clinical psychologist, doctor of psychology, Derby Devil,
Both.
referee, commentator, cool dude, and I don't know, a really good person to watch NBA games with from the Beltran suite. It's Gory Midori. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
What? Yes.
Good evening.
Breaking news.
Ray, what's up?
So, we lost against the second Watsi employee,
Okay.
but we're playing for third place.
All right, go get him, man. All right. There's your Magic the Gathering update. He's doing a charity.
Okay.
He's doing a charity
Cool.
challenge with the free play flag flying in the background.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Does it include the Save Free Play link or something about Save Free Play?
Yes,
I hope
it does.
so.
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm sorry to everybody that I missed the last two nights.
How are you?
As lame as it sounds, I'm actually fine, but this is the first week that I've been like working from home in earnest, and I guess when I would normally be alert from fighting traffic and swearing at drivers,
Uh-huh.
I get to just like relax in my slow amble from the kitchen table to the couch, and so yeah, I fell asleep. And both times it was like, oh, it's like 5:45. I have plenty of time, and then slept right through the segment. So I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's we may do. I just wanted to check in with you. You've checked in with us so many times, and make sure you're feeling all right, because you are going through as big of adjustment as any of us. You're not at the hospital now, correct?
Yeah, not at the hospital. In fact, you know what I think I might do, if it's okay with you, is run outside and go for a walk while I'm talking.
Sounds good to me.
But the only thing that you'll have to put up with is that I'll have to go through an elevator, and I may lose you, but it will only be for a few seconds.
Okay. Well, if that's the case,
So-
then we'll see you at the bottom floor.
I'll just like.
I wonder
Yeah,
I wonder,
I'll jump, I'll
wonder
jump
how
back
reception
on.
is at the bottom. It seemed okay when you were doing the webcam calling.
Yeah, but also that was. Yeah, well, twice when I was outside, or both times that I was outside, I think I was on the laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, you're right. One time I was on my phone.
Yeah. Hello, hello. Yep, that sounds like the elevator. So we'll see Gory Midori when she comes out of the elevator. Got some questions lined up anyway. And if you're tuning in for Cause Free Play,
already lose you?
we'll just you lost us for just a little bit. No, yeah. So yes, we've lost her, but she'll be here shortly. So Cause Free Play will be delayed. I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Wanna talk to Gory. Check in with her. Have her check in with us. Messaging Camber right now. So she'll be joining us for Cause Free Play Live as soon as we finish our checkup with
I'm
Gory
back.
here. Hello, welcome back.
Hey, sorry about that. Okay, so
No
now
worries.
I am downstairs.
So I've been walking every day as well. Have you been keeping up with it, the walks?
I haven't every single day, but most days, yeah. And there was a couple of days that I forgot to take a picture, but the days that I remembered, I went ahead and slapped it up there because I wanted to, practice what I preach, obviously.
But you
Um,
yourself are walking every day.
Not every single day,
Okay,
but probably 5 out of 7.
nice.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
bad, not bad.
I'm doing
Yeah,
it.
how have your walks been going?
Good. They've been accomplishing the purpose, which is providing routine, even on days
Yeah.
when I feel like lost, really, because all this is quite overwhelming at times. It's nice to go out and just see the outdoors for a moment, but as you had pointed out, like just the routine itself helps tie me to the particular day that I'm in, even though every day feels the same now. at least the
All
day
right.
can start and finish at the same time. So
Right.
it's been helpful.
And it looks like you have a fairly inviting uh, uh, neighborhood. I mean, ooh, I'm taking some pictures for Jasmine.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
Doing
pretty
that too.
good. It's yeah, and I've been taking the wildflower pictures for Jasmine as well. But
Yeah, she got a ton of them yesterday. I hope that
yes.
she enjoyed.
Hmm. But yeah, no, that's been very good. Really, all of your advice has been spot on for me personally, which is sort of vocalizing like what's been anxiety causing, and that
Hmm.
made Tuesday night fights much easier, both that day and then it wasn't such a big deal the next week.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and then what else were we talking about? I don't know. Even when you're giving advice to other people, I tend to listen and integrate that
Yeah,
as
like
much as I
reaching
can.
out to friends. I mean, obviously that's the one everybody knows about. Having these like virtual check-ins with people. Um, Exercise. Hopefully, you've gotten a push-up or two in this week. I've been doing my squats.
I've done it every single day except for today, but I will.
Holy crap! You are like on fire.
Yeah. Well, I even upped them after
That's
Tuesday.
awesome. After they got too easy.
Correct. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah, I
it
started
didn't feel the
doing.
same. I was there, and I was like at the number that I usually hit, and I was like, I barely felt like I've started, so I just kept going.
That is your body growing stronger.
Hmm. Like I said, I'm planning to
That
come
is.
out of this prison strong. We're gonna be good.
Yeah. I want to talk about the question from yesterday, which was basically like I want to cry, but I can't. I feel like crying would help me like release and you know.
Yes, yes. One of our members
So
is just super stressed out. Would like would Nothing would benefit more than just a good cry, and yet the tears won't
hmm
come.
okay, so I had some thoughts about this. Honestly, like just in the elevator as I was coming down right now.
Hmm.
But I had okay, so I think that it would be worth a try to actually kickstart the crying, and I can think of two and possibly three ways that somebody could attempt to do this.
Okay.
So one would be to like watch something or listen to something that they know has made them cry in the past.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, this is the craziest thing. There is a number from Mamma Mia, like the ABBA musical.
Hmm.
There's a scene, the movie version with Meryl Streep and Pierce Brosnan. There's a scene where she sings "The Winner Takes It All," and I do not know why, but I've watched that movie all the way through, at least 20 times, and I will still ugly cry during that song, which is honestly not really like me. And I was laughing about it, talking to my coworker Robin about it, and I was telling him it's so ridiculous that I have this reaction. I've seen it 20 times. It's crazy. And I was like, here, let me show you the scene. And I didn't even like watch the movie. I just watched the scene on YouTube and started crying. So, so if this person knows of some reliable way that kind of like turns the waterworks on,
Hmm.
that's one thing that they could try. I'm curious, did you like have you addressed this like question on or offline yet?
Me? No,
Yeah.
I did mention that I would ask you,
Okay.
because it definitely seemed like it was a comment kind of out of the blue, and it felt like, wow, that's exactly why we try and make sure Gory is on every day if she's willing. So
Yes.
yeah, definitely like, it seemed like you up your alley. You might have some general thoughts on it. So
Yeah. So that was one. I mean, that one's almost like that one might even be like too obvious. They might have already thought of that.
mhm.
And again, this is with the objective of actually trying to make yourself cry.
Right.
Which isn't. I mean, there's also the whole like just be patient and wait for it to come. The second one that I thought of that might work is to physically exhaust yourself.
Hmm.
I don't know if you like it's kind of a level of physiological like arousal or like I guess fatigue
Hmm.
that can sometimes like whenever you've done like a really big sprint and then you're so like fatigued that you're actually doubled over, like you're panting, you're hyperventilating and doubled over. Sometimes that can like replicate the feeling of like crying kind of breaking through.
Yeah.
So I think that is a possibility. That's almost more like an experiment you can run on yourself and see what happens.
At worst, you get a good workout.
Yeah, exactly. And then the I said 2.5 or 2 and maybe 3. This is because so this isn't like it's not profanity or anything, but it's a little bit racy. So some people will have like a sense of emotional release from masturbating or from having orgasm. And so that's actually something that could work. Now, I am not a sex therapist. I'm not giving this advice as some sort of gynecologist or urologist or physician in any way. But I know that that's also something that can kind of bring the brain and to an extent the body, like physiological mechanisms, to that same like breaking point that exercise can, that crying can. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Like they all seem to have the same thing in common, which is sort of taking yourself to the like most like animalistic like parts of us, where it's just like physically exhausted, or like some place where it shuts your mind totally off because your body, the physiology of your body is taking over to the point where if you just need to cry, you cry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So those are the ideas that I had. But I want to empathize with the person who's struggling with this, because I haven't experienced it too often because I'm a pretty liberal crier. But there have been times when like I just needed to cry and couldn't. Or what's actually more common for me is I think we talked about this a week or two ago, where like I've just been having kind of an emotional load slowly like building up and I didn't realize it. And then like one minor thing might set it off, and then I end up like crying about the minor thing and realizing that I'm actually crying about like a 2-week backlog of stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Which happens as well.
It's
That's
so
really
insidious, like how that works, and it's just you don't even realize you're pushing an emotion aside, and you're just pushing it back there. Like I get this a lot because I'm on the air all the time, or I'm working, or I'm in public. If someone yells at me in my face, like that does hurt. It does actually hurt, but I know right where to put it, and I put it away. And you start piling it away and piling it away and piling it away, and like at some point it's gonna come back. And I don't necessarily know
like
that
hello, it's me.
Right, but I don't necessarily know in the moment what I've done. Right, I'm just dealing with a situation that confronted me. And I don't know, hey, I've had a really emotional day. I need to, like, confront it before it confronts me back.
Right. And luckily for us, it's not always, like, it doesn't always have to be any sort of, like, huge ordeal. Like, sometimes it requires soul searching, like, reflection, examination. Sometimes it just requires, like, shedding a few tears over a couple minutes, and then you feel refreshed, so. Yeah, so those are some of my thoughts. I'm not looking at the chat right now. I don't know if other people had advice on how to like deal with the feeling like you need to cry but being unable to.
Not specifically on that. Just sort of reacting to what you were saying.
I will say this is, I guess, kind of clinically relevant. So I know that it's common for people who've had like legitimately traumatic experiences that sometimes their instinct to emotionally numb becomes like overactive and overused. And so it's one thing to, go through a specific situation, like maybe a specific loss or this current situation that we're in, and not be able to cry about it. But I will say that if it's kind of like a years-long entrenched thing, more like a lifelong habit or a several years-long habit, then probably something just like a sad song or, a long sprint isn't really going to do it. It's probably going to take a little bit of like deeper work. But from the nature of the question, it sounded like it might have been more specific to the times that we're in right now.
That was what I gathered. Yeah, and I actually I have plenty of friends. I have one that in particular that I'm thinking about who's probably going through the same level of stress that I have been, which is significant, and yet this person is very stoic
Right.
in how emotions are handled, and I don't. Again, I think I see my stresses reflected in this person, and I just like I know how it feels inside here, and I need to deal with it. And I see the stoicism, and being tough and acting tough and playing tough, and I'm worried for my friend, basically.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like sometimes you can kind of spot that that there's a storm just like under the surface or whatever.
Or there has to be. There has to be.
Right. It's like you just have to. You can only. Yeah, and
It's
and
it's like when
actually,
you see somebody punched. You're like, well, they didn't react as if that hurt. I'm positive that hurt.
Right. I actually I have a lot of the patients who come to me are in their 60s or 70s, and they have basically spent their whole lives trying to outrun the need to express a feeling.
Right.
And it's so sad, and to be frank, it's also frustrating for me because they come to me and they're like, okay, well, I've lost my third marriage because of my temper or whatever, or my inexpression, right? My kids won't talk to me, like my adult children won't talk to me. I haven't seen my grandkids in X number of years. I lost another job or whatever. Like, I really think I need help. Fix me. And it's
right.
yeah, dude, like this wasn't, you didn't think this is going to catch up with you one day?
Yeah, it's emotions are not terribly rational. Like they're in fact like the opposite.
Right.
But if you don't deal with them, they have real ramifications. So someone who is taking an unemotional, rational look at things, like they want to objectify it and just be like, well, just toughen up and you can survive this without dealing with your emotion right now, then that's what you need to do, and just repeat that forever, and it will never catch up to you because you don't need to deal with that emotion right now. And like then it comes up and it comes out in all kinds of horrific ways. So that's just, I don't know. That's part and parcel to why I relish the chance to talk to yourself once a day. Not for my own sake, but yes, for my own sake too. But just just sort of promoting good mental health as we all collectively go through what has to be one of the most stressful times in our lives.
Yes, and if anybody's listening right now and wondering to themselves, like, I wonder if I'm like that. I wonder if I could get through. Like, I bet I could push through to the end, like, and not have to deal with this, this like bucket of sludge in the corner of my mind. I do encourage you to just go ahead and deal with it now. It's like that. It's like the Tupperware at the back of the fridge. Just go ahead and like clean it out before it gets that much worse, because you'll thank yourself when you do. So.
Yeah, and everybody listening to us now, I can promise you have friends. We are friends. Like, you have so many of us, like so much more than the average person locked away in their home. We're all
people
here for each other. Yeah, we're here, and it's okay. Like it is okay to not be okay.
So right now I'm walking through my neighborhood, which I've never actually. I usually just kind of walk up and down the main straightaway, which is Highline Drive, and there's some like restaurants and stuff. But it's in the design district, and so I'm actually walking through all the little the showroom, not through the showrooms, but the storefronts. And this is like like $2,000 drawer pulls, or like probably $5,000 light fixtures or whatever. Basically things that I will not ever purchase in my life. And they're really beautiful because most of the design in this neighborhood is modern, and that's my style. And it's just kind of fascinating to peek into all these windows and look at all this stuff.
Yeah, if you find the old Noble Ray Brewing building, that is supposed to be Free Play Dallas. I
no
heard,
way! Is it in the design district?
Yes, it is, and I heard it was.
No way!
I heard now it's not open, and it has no, like, clearly none
Will
of us
you
are
hire
open.
me?
I mean, I don't know that we need a staff psychologist, I would like to hire you as a staff psychologist.
I can
I don't.
announce trivia.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
But yeah, no, that's where it's supposed to be. I heard they were doing demo work out there when they were still allowed to go out there. So
Oh. Huh.
Free Play Dallas
Yeah, I don't
is
know where
still hopefully the
Yeah.
dream's not totally dead. We're doing our best. And by we, I
Still
mean my
growing.
former employer. It's so rough. It's so rough to go from full speed to just dead.
Oh,
It's
I'm
so
sure.
so
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah. Backwards even. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Ugh.
I wanted to visit with you and make sure you're all right. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm lucky because I get to Blowtown tomorrow.
Are
We're
you?
going up to Lake Texoma.
That's right. And you said you may or may not call in depending on your reception out at Lake Texoma.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And so hopefully there will have, yeah, like I'm in a little clearing area, so
Mhm.
hopefully, like I'm not, we're not primitive camping.
Mhm.
So
You're
we'll see.
glamping?
Fingers
Is that what it
crossed.
is?
Oh, I hate that word.
Okay, you're not glamping, but you're totally doing it.
I hate that word, and I'm also usually not into it. But this was like this weekend. I had actually planned a family reunion for my dad's family. My dad who died last year.
Mm-hmm.
And we were gonna, like reconnect because everybody kept saying at the funeral, like, oh, it's a shame that we're always like meeting under these circumstances. So I wanted to do something about that. So I planned a family reunion. People
Mhm.
had like booked cabins.
Mm-hmm.
People were excited, and then this happened. And even after we had to cancel the actual like social aspect of it, I was considering keeping the cabin reservation anyway because the cabin was just for Matt and myself,
Mm-hmm.
and it was still going to be like just a way to get out of town. But then the host finally did end up canceling the reservation. But yeah, Lake Texoma has their cabin still for rental, so it's a tiny little. I mean, it's like I was explaining the other day. It's a tiny little shack. It doesn't have a bathroom or anything. It's just like a little, like a shack with a day bed that you can sleep in and a little table you can eat at. And so we're just gonna like disinfect all the hard surfaces in there and just like hole up for the weekend, hopefully.
Well, it's good. It's good to be able to get away from this madness. I'm wishing you good luck. I hope.
I still have some time, so I'm wondering how others are doing. How are you doing? How are people in the chat doing? Hanging in there, struggling, having a better day, having a worse day? Unless you have to leave, I'm sorry.
Me personally, I am having a better day today. Like, yes, so Tuesday night fights went to Wednesday morning. It was like 2 a.m. when
Oh my
Tuesday night
God.
fights ended, unexpectedly, at least by me. Boat Guy tried to warn me. I didn't listen. It wasn't that I didn't listen. I didn't. It was running smoothly, and then it just hit a brick wall and never ended. So that was fine, and it was fun, and it was a lot of fun getting to sit up and yuck it up with the Denton Finance clan until 2 in the morning. Until the next morning when I woke up at 8 a.m. to set David up on the stream, and then so I'd slept, I'm not sleeping well as is, but I slept even worse that day, and I just could not function, and like my apologies to everybody who was watching and saw me like physically deteriorate throughout the day to the point where I had to leave. Yeah, I had to leave at like 8:15 or something like that. We were still in the middle. It might have been even earlier than that. We're in the middle of the Free Play Arlington Bartender Roundtable, and I just couldn't handle it. Thankfully, Ian stepped up, Mike B stepped up, and closed the show down and put us up to reruns. But like, holy cow, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And even then, I couldn't fall asleep. It was much like the problem with the crying, right? It just.
Too tired to sleep.
Too tired to sleep, and too like emotionally distraught to sleep. So I had a really rough night, and
Aww.
yes, and I messaged a few people until I got to talk to somebody. Did get to sleep eventually. Woke up a new day, and the birds were chirping. Took my walk, and got back to being a productive person. So.
Wow. And was that last night?
Yeah, it was last night. Yeah, last night was rough.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, it just is. There's no.
It just happens.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
not your fault, but I'm sure you mean empathy.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Well, that makes it all the more commendable that you like went on your walk and like got back on your stream. Like,
well, thankfully I've had
really
you to
impressive.
talk with and really think a little bit more actively about my own mental health than I have, because I always keep it in mind, but like I haven't had a lot of specific thoughts on it. I don't know. Carlos chimes in and says he's beyond stressed. Nothing more specific than that.
Beyond what? I missed
beyond stressed. Just beyond
stress.
stressed.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Carlos. I hope whatever it is that you're going through lets up soon. Although if what you're referring to is the pandemic, then obviously that's not. We got a little ways to go still.
Is there a class that you take in school to get your doctorate that covers pandemic, like shutting down everything for a month? Like, is this uncharted territory for psychology as well?
For even the professionals.
Yes.
So I mean, so there's kind of some general principles, and I'm not trying to like. I hope not to take away some of the magic of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's crisis management, there's disaster management or disaster debriefing, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, there's like kind of a few basic areas you need to attend to. So like one area is like take care of your physical health, your physical well-being.
Mm-hmm.
One is to like find one or ideally even more than one outlet for expression, like emotional expression. And whatever form that comes in, whether that's talking to somebody, whether that's creating art, creating music, writing, like it can be social or not, it can be creative or not, but just some form of, getting out what's in your mind. And routine. So when it comes to like a more acute crisis, like somebody who's like suicidal or something, it's actually, it's not as much routine because it's more like 24 hours at a time,
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like putting together an itinerary or an agenda. It's like, what am I going to do from 6 to 8 tonight? What am I going to do from 8 to 10 tonight? What am I going to do first thing when I wake up tomorrow? And making sure that you have like the next few days kind of planned out so that you aren't just kind of sitting around idly, like wondering what to do with yourself. And then engaging others for support, whether those are friends, family, strangers, hotline, whatever. Having those people as backup and trying to like remind yourself that it's okay to reach out for backup. Let's see, what else?
People are chiming in on the chat with things that they are doing. Lady Zest lost her laptop and said she didn't realize how much she relied on it to keep her stability in her day. Although I know she's getting it back on Friday. That's Jasmine we talked to the other day.
Okay. Hey, Jasmine, I've got flower pictures for you.
Yeah, she mentioned keeping a journal. That was some of your advice.
Yep, journaling is good.
Yeah, Orange Crush says taking time to unwind and sew every night has been helpful.
Awesome. What is Orange Crush sewing?
So Orange Crush, that's Camber. She's joining us after this.
Oh, so she's cosplaying stuff.
Yeah, she sews cosplay.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The Mental Lizard does art, and is going to invest in watercolor. And let's see, Jax rearranged a room in the house and set up a desk.
Okay, so can I talk about the new thing that I did like in the past week?
Please.
So I like to cook, I like to bake. That's nothing new. But I've never made sourdough before. I posted about this, so Chris probably knows. I've never made sourdough before, and I don't really like sourdough that much. Like I actually think it's too sour. But when some of you have probably seen that, like there's this little Twitter thread that went viral about how to harvest yeast off of dried fruit. And apparently you can use dried fruit. You can use like the last few drops of beer at the bottom of a bottle. You can use the last few drops of wine. I think the wine might have to be unfiltered. I'm not sure. Or even like breadcrumbs from an old bag of bread. But so what I did, and I followed this guy's instructions. I think he's some like yeast scientist. Like I thought he was a mycologist, but it's even more specific. It's like specifically yeast.
Okay.
So, so I took some dried dates that I had. I just had some extra dates lying around the house. Although he said you could use raisins, you can use dried apricots, any dried fruit. He said you can use fresh fruit too, but because of the current stuff, like probably not the best because you're not supposed to wash it. But we want to wash the things that we're consuming right now.
Yeah.
So, so I took some dried dates and I just kind of dunked them in water, and I just kind of stirred them around. This is like literally just 2 whole dates in an inch of water.
Mm-hmm.
And I stirred it around until there's like just a little bit of like particulate, like stuff that I just assumed would have been sugar or something, or sugar or little just like bits of date flesh or something. But I just stirred them around for maybe 30 seconds, and then I took that water, I took the dates out, and I took that water and I added it to an equal amount of flour, and I put it in a baggie, and I let it sit at room temperature for about probably 10 hours. And I actually I don't know if you saw this part, Chris, I actually stuffed it up my shirt so it could sit on my stomach while I was watching TV.
I did not see that part.
So I could keep it warm and incubate it like a good yeast incubator, which sounds so gross.
It does sound incredibly gross.
Yeah, I love it. But I mean, it's true. Like, get over it, everybody. You've got yeast growing all over you right now.
I did not know.
Everybody.
Did not know you just birthed a sourdough baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, did you know that men could give birth too?
Did not know.
So yeah, so you wait until it bubbles, and they're just really small bubbles. They're not particularly spectacular. But then what you do is once you notice that there are bubbles happening, and they're not just the air bubbles that might have been in the baggie to begin with, you take some of that starter and you put it with another new batch of flour and water. And I don't know for sure, but I think the purpose is to take some known yeast. Because first you're starting from a really tiny amount. So now this is you've let the yeast propagate for a while. So it's a larger quantity. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of not jump starting, but it's accelerating the process. So then I let that starter incubate for a little bit, just a few more hours. And then you just mix it with a whole bowl of flour and water and add a little bit of salt and whatever. And you can make bread. And this is the best bread I've ever made. And I wasn't a terrible baker. I've made good bread with just regular commercial Fleischmann's yeast. But this is a whole different, it really tastes and feels and looks more like store-bought bread or restaurant bread. And I really couldn't believe it. I was oh, this is one of those things that if you're good at gardening or if you're good at homesteading or something, you just naturally are good at, but this isn't gonna work for me because things like this don't work for me. And it totally worked exactly how it was supposed to.
Yeah, I saw the pictures on Facebook. It looked delicious.
It was really good. So then I made another.
I had no idea it was so involved.
Yeah,
just looked like your delicious store-bought bread.
But it's amazing though because I didn't have to use yeast. It's so cool, and the flavor was really good. So, if anybody wants to try that, please post pictures because I'm curious. I'm just begging because so many of my friends are oh, that's really cool. I want to try it, but nobody, they've got other stuff to do. They just haven't gotten around to it or whatever. So I'm really curious to see somebody else try it and see what their results look like. But yeah, I can vouch for it. It actually works. All
right. The most interesting yeast harvesting story I've ever heard, that's for sure. Holy cow.
Yeah, involving Angela's belly button. Thanks. All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, of course. Thanks for listening to my 20-minute saga about baking bread and yeast.
Oh, my pleasure. I will be, I believe, delivery driving tomorrow. So Friday through Sunday, if you want to check in, please do.
Okay.
If you're too busy or if you're out of signal at Lake Texoma, either with or without the signal, please have a great weekend and have a lot of fun.
Thank you, Chris.
And will you be back
Good luck.
by Monday for sure?
Yeah, I'll be back Monday for sure. I might be back Sunday.
And I'll definitely be in this chair on Monday. But I always call in and put myself on the headset, so I'll be around for sure.
Okay, all right, and good luck with all your deliveries, and stay safe, and make lots of tips.
Yeah, just wish me extra deliveries. Wanna keep
Okay.
free play in business. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. All right, Chris. Take care. Bye.
Bye. That is Dr. Angela Beard, aka Gory Midori, our friend through the Dallas Derby Devils, who joins us every day at 6:30, actually 7 today. But it ran a little late. We hadn't heard from her in the previous 2 days, so I wanted to make sure that we made time for her. Didn't realize she was in the chat that whole time when we were doing NBA Jam League. And from one